What if everything you think is real? Your surroundings, your experiences, even the very fabric of existence, isn't quite what it seems? What if reality isn't some solid, unshakable thing, but more like a grand illusion, a projection molded by your own mind? Imagine, just for a second, that the world isn't fixed in place, but more like a shimmering hologram, something fluid, constantly shifting, bending, and reshaping itself in ways you can't see, but you can definitely feel. Sounds like science. Fiction, right? But here's the kicker. Modern science is starting to catch up with what ancient wisdom has whispered for centuries. Reality, as we know it, might not be as concrete as we were led to believe. Instead, it could be a vast, energetic projection, influenced by the very thoughts we think, the emotions we feel, and the frequencies we send out like ripples in an endless cosmic ocean. Every feeling, every fleeting idea doesn't just sit inside your head, it spreads outward, touching and altering the world around you. But hey, that's a pretty bold claim, isn't it? So what proof do we have? Well, buckle up, because this is where things take a wild turn. A once classified CIA project, known as the Gateway Process, might hold the missing piece of the puzzle. This wasn't just some random government experiment. It was a deep dive into human consciousness, an exploration of whether the mind has the power to reach beyond the limits of physical reality. And the results? Let's just say they were more than a little mind-blowing. The scientists involved weren't just poking around in meditation studies or altered states of consciousness for fun. They were investigating something far bigger. The idea that the human mind doesn't just passively observe reality but actively shapes it. And here's the eerie part. Their findings line up almost perfectly with both cutting-edge quantum physics and the teachings of ancient spiritual traditions. Ever heard of the universal hologram theory? It suggests that the universe itself is an infinite, interconnected field of energy, one where everything, including your thoughts and consciousness, plays a direct role in shaping what you experience. If that's true, then your mind isn't just a receiver of reality. It's a projector. So what does that mean for us? Well, today, we're setting out on a journey, not just through the pages of a declassified government document, but through the very nature of existence itself. We'll pull back the curtain on the hidden connections between consciousness and the universe, uncovering how, with the right understanding, we just might have the power to bend reality itself. For centuries, humanity has been told that the mind is nothing more than a spectator in the great theater of life. But the Gateway Process? It flips that idea upside down. This top-secret study suggests that consciousness doesn't just witness the world, it interacts with it, reshapes it, and maybe even creates it. During their research, the CIA used highly specific techniques, deep meditation, brain hemisphere synchronization, and mental expansion exercises, all designed to push the boundaries of human perception. Their goal? Not just to understand how the brain works, but to see if it could reach beyond the limits of physical reality. And here's the thing. Their experiments didn't just hint at altered states of consciousness. They suggested something even more profound. The participants weren't just slipping into deep meditation. They were stepping into something beyond. They were interacting with realities outside of normal perception. And the implications? They're nothing short of staggering. This isn't just about having mystical visions or spiritual awakenings. This is about tapping into something fundamental, something that suggests we aren't just living inside the universe. We're helping to shape it. The mind isn't just some passive receiver of information. It's a cosmic player in the grand scheme of things. Imagine it like a radio, tuning into frequencies that shape the very fabric of the reality we experience. But here's the kicker. Not only can the mind pick up these invisible signals, it can actually change them, twist them, and alter the way we interact with the world around us. When you step into this expanded state, your mind isn't sitting back and watching the show. It becomes the director, the one pulling the strings and making things happen. Through this shift, the mind begins to tap into what some bold thinkers, like those in the CIA's Gateway Process study, have called layers of reality. Think of it like peeling back the layers of an onion, except instead of crying, you get to witness the boundary between you and the universe start to dissolve. It's like suddenly realizing that the self you've known all your life isn't some fixed, separate thing. It's a part of the whole, flowing and shifting, just like the world around you. This kind of perception is shaped not just by what you see, but by what you feel and believe. And one of the most powerful practices that emerged from the Gateway process: hemisphere synchronization. It's a fancy way of saying getting both halves of your brain to work together in harmony, like two musicians playing the same tune. When the brain syncs up, it unlocks a whole new way of perceiving reality, a way that's more fluid, more flexible, and open to infinite possibilities. It's like you're no longer just looking at life through a keyhole. You're opening the door wide and seeing the whole landscape unfiltered. Meditation? Oh, that's the secret sauce in all this. Deep meditation lets you tap into that higher state of consciousness, where your mind isn't just idly observing, it's fully plugged in, directly connecting with the universe's infinite energy. These practices, simple as they may seem on the surface, are the gateway to something deeper. They alter your brain's frequencies, like tuning a guitar to hit just the right note, letting you communicate with the energetic web that surrounds us all. Here's where things get wild. If the universe really operates like a hologram, as some of these studies suggest, then everything we experience, every thought, every emotion, every piece of the world around us, is an energetic pattern, a projection from that universal hologram. And guess what? The human mind isn't just a bystander in this projection, it's part of the act. We don't just observe reality, we shape it, twist it, and transform it based on the frequencies we emit. So, reality isn't a stagnant, unchangeable thing. It's a living, breathing creation, constantly shifting in response to our consciousness. This idea doesn't just echo ancient beliefs about the mind and universe being connected, it actually gives us the science to back it up. By expanding our consciousness, tuning into universal frequencies, and unlocking the power of our mind, we can access a reality far richer and more complex than we ever thought possible. And as the lines blur between science and spirituality, we begin to see that we're not just passive witnesses to life's events. No, we're the co-creators, shaping reality with every thought, every breath, and every intention. Now, traditionally, we've thought of perception as a passive process. We see things, and our brain processes those images to build our version of reality. But what if that's all wrong? What if every thought and emotion we have isn't just some reaction to the world, but a vibration, a wave of energy that spreads out into the universe and interacts with everything else? The idea that reality is a hologram gives us a tool to understand how this works. It's not just about observing reality, it's about projecting it. A hologram, in essence, is a three-dimensional projection that holds all the information of an object or image, even when broken into pieces. If reality is a hologram, that means everything we perceive, from the physical world around us to the thoughts and emotions we feel, is just an energetic pattern, constantly shifting and interacting. In this view, each of us is both a receptor and a projector of these patterns. Our minds aren't just passive screens onto which the world is projected. They're dynamic, interactive tools, antennas that tune into and project energy, shaping how we experience the world. This brings us to the real kicker. The frequency of our mind plays a massive role in shaping how we perceive reality. When our mental frequencies align with higher, more expansive states, we're able to see beyond the surface, tapping into deeper layers of existence. But when we're stuck in lower frequencies, say due to stress, fear, or doubt, our perception narrows, and the world feels more limited, more challenging. This isn't just about how we see things, though. It's about how our mind projects the world we experience. And the cool part? Science is catching up with these ancient ideas. Studies in quantum physics and neuroscience have shown how our minds interact with the quantum field that permeates the entire universe. It's like we're all tuned into this cosmic radio station, and our thoughts, emotions, and consciousness are constantly sending and receiving signals that shape our experience of reality. So, yeah, the mind is a whole lot more than just a passive observer. It's a creator, a projector, and a co-pilot on this wild journey we call life. And when we start to realize that, the world becomes a lot more malleable, a lot more open to possibility. Every thought we have sends out ripples, like a pebble hitting the surface of a calm lake, sending waves through the quantum field, shifting what we see and, more importantly, what we experience as reality. It's almost like the mind is this powerful sculptor, shaping and reshaping the clay of our world in real time, every moment, like it's got the universe on a string. This process is a bit mind-blowing, but let's break it down with an easy example. Imagine you're staring at a piece of paper. What you're really seeing isn't the paper itself. It's your mind's version of the paper. The light bounces off the paper and hits your eyes, but it's your brain that makes sense of that light, putting together the image you see. So, what you're actually seeing is just a projection your mind created, not the paper in all its raw, untouched glory. And here's the kicker. Your mind is doing the same thing with everything around you, all the time. So every time you observe something, your mind isn't just passively absorbing info, it's projecting a version of reality based on its own mental filters, past baggage, and the mood you're in. And just like how a hologram can be shifted and bent by tweaking its frequency, your reality isn't set in stone either. It's moldable, bendable, all depending on the mental frequency you tune into. When you get wise to the fact that you're not just an observer, but a projector of reality, that's when you realize how much power you actually have over your life. You get the ultimate key to freedom, the ability to create your own reality just by tweaking the mental frequency you're vibing with. See, the human mind, in all its mysterious glory, has the ability to go beyond the basic senses and tap into layers of reality that go way deeper than what we usually notice. But here's the thing. It's not as simple as just trying to see beyond the surface. You need to adjust your mental frequency, like tuning a radio to a different station. If reality's like this massive interconnected hologram, it's responsive to your consciousness. Change your consciousness, and you're suddenly able to access different dimensions of perception. This is where the gateway process comes in. It's a declassified CIA study that sheds light on how we can expand our consciousness in a controlled way. The document reveals that, with the right practices, the human mind can slip into altered states of perception, opening up doors to realities that aren't easily caught by our usual senses. These techniques don't just change how we perceive the world, they shift our relationship with time, space, and reality itself. Among the most powerful techniques in this study are deep meditation, hemisphere synchronization, and visualization. Let's start with deep meditation. This one's a classic. It's about disconnecting from the chaos of the outside world and turning your attention inward. When you do this, you create a calm, open state of mind that makes it easier to tap into higher states of consciousness. In this zone, your mind starts picking up on layers of reality that usually fly under the radar. Then there's hemisphere synchronization, which is like next-level meditation. The brain's two hemispheres usually don't operate in perfect harmony, but by using specific sounds and frequencies, you can sync them up. When the two halves of your brain start working together like a well-oiled machine, the boundaries between everyday perception and more subtle realities start to fade away. In this state of mental coherence, you can connect with higher dimensions of consciousness, letting you access information that the analytical, logical part of your brain can't usually get to. In short, the human mind isn't just a passive observer of the world. It's an active participant, constantly shaping and shifting reality, sometimes without us even realizing it. The more we understand this, the more we can take control, shifting the frequencies we tune into, and opening up the door to deeper, more expansive layers of perception. So, the next time you look at that piece of paper, remember, what you're seeing isn't just paper. It's a projection of your mind's own making. One technique that really stands out in this CIA study is visualization. It's not just daydreaming or zoning out. It's about actively creating vivid, detailed images in your mind of your desires, intentions, or experiences. Picture this. When you visualize something, your mind isn't just sitting back and watching. Nope, it's rolling up its sleeves and starting to work, aligning itself with the energy needed to make those visions real. It's like you're holding the paintbrush to your own reality, shaping and coloring it as you go. The more you visualize, the more the world around you seems to bend and shift to match what you're imagining. Now, to really get how all this works, we need to talk about altered states of consciousness, ASC. These states, when you really dive into deep meditation or get hyper-focused, lift you out of the ordinary, everyday sensory experience. Your brain starts humming at a different frequency, either higher or lower depending on the technique you're using. It's like tuning into a new radio station where the static disappears and a whole new world of sound, or in this case, perception, opens up. This altered state allows the mind to see what normally stays hidden, things that go beyond the reach of our regular senses. It's not just a shift in how you see, it's a whole expansion of your awareness, offering a glimpse into other layers of reality that are usually off-limits. And that's where mental frequency comes into play. Understanding mental frequency is key to unlocking how we can access different realities. The mind's frequency, something you can shift with practices like meditation, visualization, or hemisphere synchronization, determines the type of reality you experience. Let me break it down. When your mind is tuned to lower frequencies, you're more in touch with dense material reality, time and space, all the stuff we can touch, see, and measure. But when you shift to a higher frequency, things start to change. You move beyond the limits of time and space, tapping into subtler, more expansive realms of experience, places where information and moments are not locked down by conventional laws. These consciousness-expanding practices don't just offer a new way to look at the world, they show us the underlying framework of reality. The energy patterns that hold everything together are now within reach, and suddenly, we find ourselves connected to dimensions that go far beyond our physical senses. The human mind, when properly trained and prepared, has the power to reach into these unseen worlds and interact with them, which totally changes how we perceive life and the universe. Take visualization as an example. When you practice focused intention, like picturing a goal or fully believing in something you desire, you're tuning your mental frequency to attract that very thing. When your mind syncs up with that frequency, it starts to notice opportunities you'd otherwise miss, shifts in your behavior, and even internal changes that push you toward that reality. It's like you've shifted gears, and now you're actively creating your path instead of just reacting to whatever life throws at you. At this point, reality stops being something that just happens to you. It becomes something you shape, mold, and refine, all through the conscious control of your mental frequencies. The power of human consciousness, once understood and applied, can create a world that's more in line with your deepest desires. Reality in the grand scheme isn't fixed. It's constantly flowing, shifting, and responding to the energy you put out there. When we get that we have the ability to change how we perceive the world, that's when the magic happens. We step into our power to live more consciously, crafting our experiences and deepening our connection with the universe. Thanks for coming along on this journey with me. If this video spoke to you, I'd love it if you could like, subscribe, and share it with others. And hey, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, reflections, or experiences. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon. Take care.